What if the real secret to success isn't intensity, talent, or sudden motivation? What if it's simply showing up every single day? Welcome to Growth Listen. Today, we explore consistency is a superpower, how small habits create limitless results. This audiobook breaks down how tiny daily actions compound over time into wealth, self-respect, and unstoppable momentum. Consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things regularly, even when progress feels slow. This book reveals why small habits, repeated daily, quietly outperform bursts of effort and short-lived discipline. You'll learn how consistency reshapes identity, builds confidence, and creates results that last. Step by step, these lessons show how ordinary routines, when sustained, turn into extraordinary outcomes. If you're ready to stop starting over and begin building real momentum, you're in the right place. Chapter 1. Stop chasing motivation. Build systems that never quit. Most people are waiting to feel ready. They are waiting to feel inspired. They are waiting to feel motivated. They are waiting for the right mood, the right energy, the right moment. That moment never comes. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is emotional. Motivation shows up when life is easy and disappears the moment resistance appears. If your success depends on motivation, your success will be temporary. High performers understand a brutal truth early. You cannot build a serious life on feelings. Feelings change. Systems remain. A system is what you do when you don't feel like it. A system is what carries you on your worst days, not your best ones. A system does not care about your excuses. This is why discipline always beats motivation. And this is why systems beat discipline. Because discipline still requires effort. Systems remove effort. Let's get clear about something most people misunderstand. Motivation is not the starting point. Motivation is a side effect. You do not act because you feel motivated. You feel motivated because you act. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates motivation. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for muscle before going to gym. It's backwards. High performers reverse the process. They don't ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" They ask, "What is the system?" Because once the system is built, the decision is already made. This is where most people fail. They wake up every day and renegotiate their goals. They debate with themselves. They argue internally. Should I work out today? Should I save money today? Should I practice today? Every question drains energy. Decision fatigue kills consistency. High performers eliminate these questions entirely. They don't decide daily. They decide once. They decide in advance. They lock the behavior into a system so simple it's almost boring. Boring is good. Boring is repeatable. Boring compounds. Let's talk about money, because money exposes this principle perfectly. Most people want to save money. Most people intend to invest. Most people plan to build wealth. Very few actually do. Why? Because they rely on motivation and willpower. They tell themselves, "I'll save what's left at the end of the month." There is never anything left. High performers flip the formula. They automate. Money is pulled out before they see it. Investments happen without emotion. Saving is no longer a choice. The system executes whether they feel rich or broke, whether the market is exciting or boring, whether they're confident or scared. That is power. The same principle applies to habits, health, learning, and personal growth. If you have to decide every day, you will eventually decide wrong. Not because you're weak, because you're human. The brain is designed to conserve energy. It will always choose comfort when forced to choose repeatedly. Systems remove the choice. You brush your teeth without motivation. You don't debate it. You don't wait to feel inspired. You do it because it's installed behavior. That's the goal. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you already have systems. If you scroll first thing in the morning, that's a system. If you spend impulsively, that's a system. If you procrastinate until pressure hits, that's a system. Your life is producing exactly what your systems are designed to produce. So, if you want different results, you don't need more motivation. You need better systems. Here's the rule you must accept if you want to win long term. Anything that relies on willpower will eventually fail. Willpower is finite. Stress drains it. Fatigue drains it. Emotion drains it. Systems do not drain. So how do you build systems that never quit? You start by making the behavior stupidly easy. Not impressive. Not intense. Easy. Intensity impresses people. Consistency transforms lives. If your habit requires a surge of energy, it will die. If your habit fits into your life without friction, it will survive. This is why high performers start small and stay small longer than feels necessary. 5 minutes beats 0. 1 page beats none. $1 invested beats a plan that never executes. You are not building results. You are building a machine, and machines don't rely on mood. Next, you anchor the habit to an existing behavior. After I wake up, I do this. After I brush my teeth, I do this. After I open my laptop, I do this. No thinking, no negotiating. The habit becomes automatic because it's tied to something already automatic. This is how routines are born. And routines are dangerous in a good way, because once a routine exists, breaking it feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is leverage. Most people try to use motivation as leverage. High performers use discomfort and structure. Another critical rule: remove friction from good habits and add friction to bad ones. If you want to read more, keep the book visible. If you want to spend less, make spending harder. If you want to train, prepare your clothes the night before. The environment will beat your intentions every time. Design your environment like you design a machine. Assume you will be tired. Assume you will be distracted. Assume you will not feel like it. Then build systems that work anyway. This is tough love, so hear this clearly. If your progress keeps stalling, it's not because you lack motivation. It's because you keep trusting motivation. Stop romanticizing motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are loyal. Motivation feels good. Systems get results. And here's the part most people don't like to hear. Building systems feels boring at first. It feels unimpressive. It feels slow. That's because your ego wants intensity, not results. Your ego wants to feel productive. Your future wants consistency. Choose your future. Because over time, systems do something powerful. They build identity. You stop being someone who tries. You become someone who does. Not because you're special. Not because you're gifted. But because your system doesn't allow quitting. This is how ordinary people outperform talented people. This is how average starts winning. This is how consistency begins. So here is your instruction for this chapter. Stop asking how to get motivated. Ask instead, what can I automate? What can I simplify? What decision can I remove forever? Pick one habit. Just one. Design a system so small it feels almost too easy. Anchor it to your day. Remove the choice. Then let time do what motivation never could. Because motivation starts fires, but systems build engines, and engines don't quit. Chapter 2. Small habits are not small, they are multipliers. Most people underestimate small habits. They think small means weak. They think small means insignificant. They think if it doesn't feel powerful today, it won't matter tomorrow. That belief quietly ruins lives. Small habits are not small. They are multipliers. They work like interest. And interest does not care about your opinion. Compound interest doesn't explode on day one. It grows slowly, silently, unnoticed, until one day the curve bends. And suddenly, the results look overnight. They were never overnight. They were accumulated. Your habits work the same way. Every habit is either compounding for you or compounding against you. There is no neutral. That coffee you buy daily, that 10 minutes of scrolling, that skipped workout, that extra page read, all of it compounds. The problem is not missing once. Missing once is human. The problem is missing repeatedly. Because consistency creates momentum, and momentum is fragile in the beginning. A train does not stop because it slows down. It stops because it never builds speed. Most people quit while they're still pushing the train. They don't see movement yet, so they assume nothing is happening. But the physics are working. Energy is being stored. Effort is accumulating. And this is where discipline separates from delusion. High performers understand one critical truth. Progress is invisible before it is undeniable. If you demand visible results too early, you will quit too early. Let's use a simple example. Reading 10 pages a day. 10 pages feels small. It feels unimpressive. It feels like nothing. That's why it works. 10 pages a day equals 70 pages a week, 300 pages a month, over 3,000 pages a year. That's 10 to 15 books. Not motivational quotes, not social media summaries. Actual depth, actual wisdom. Now compare that to zero. 0 pages a day feels comfortable. 0 feels easy. 0 compounds too. 0 compounds into stagnation, into shallow thinking, into repeating the same mistakes. The difference between 10 pages and 0 is not effort, it's identity. One person becomes a learner. The other becomes stuck. The same math applies to money. Saving $5 a day feels pointless until you multiply it by time. Investing small amounts feels slow until compounding takes over. The wealthy don't rely on massive actions. They rely on small actions done for long periods. This is why most people fail at habit building. They aim too high. They want immediate transformation. They want dramatic change. So they create habits that require heroic effort, and heroic effort burns out. Small habits survive because small habits fit into real life. They fit into bad days. They fit into stress. They fit into chaos. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires continuity. Missing one day does not destroy progress. Missing often does. One skipped workout is recovery. Skipping weekly is decay. One missed saving deposit is life. Never saving is poverty. Momentum is not built by intensity. It is built by frequency. This is where people confuse discipline with punishment. Discipline is not suffering. Discipline is structure. Discipline is choosing behaviors that future you will thank you for. Small habits reduce resistance. Resistance is the real enemy. Resistance shows up as procrastination, as excuses, as "I'll start tomorrow." Small habits lower the barrier to action. You don't argue with a habit that takes 2 minutes. You don't negotiate with a habit that costs nothing emotionally. This is strategic. High performers are not more motivated. They are more strategic. They understand the brain. The brain resists pain. It avoids effort. It seeks reward. Small habits trick the brain into cooperation. And once cooperation begins, momentum follows. Here is another hard truth. Most people are not inconsistent because they are lazy. They are inconsistent because their habits are too big, too demanding, too disruptive, too fragile. When life applies pressure, those habits collapse. Small habits bend. And anything that bends instead of breaking wins long term. Now, let's talk about the silent danger of inconsistency. It doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one day and say, "My life is off track." It happens quietly. A missed habit here, a skip routine there. No alarms, no warnings. Then months pass, years pass, and suddenly the gap between who you are and who you could have been feels overwhelming. That gap was built one small omission at a time. Just like success is built one small action at a time. This is why self-respect is tied to consistency. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you reinforce trust. Every time you break one, you weaken it. You are always teaching yourself something. Either I do what I say, or my words mean nothing. Small habits are how you train self-trust. Big goals don't build confidence. Kept promises do, and this leads to a critical shift. Stop asking, "Is this habit enough?" Ask instead, "Can I do this forever?" Forever beats intense. Forever wins, because time is the real multiplier. You don't need to change your life in a day. You need to change your trajectory. A 1-degree shift sustained over time creates a completely different destination. That is not poetry. That is math. So here is your instruction for this chapter. Pick one habit you've been avoiding because it feels too small. Do it anyway. Make it so easy you feel ridiculous. Make it so short you can't excuse skipping it. 1 page, 1 push-up, $1, 1 minute, then repeat daily. No upgrades, no expansions. Let the habit earn its growth. Because when habits grow too fast, they collapse. When they grow slowly, they solidify. And once solid, they multiply. Remember this. You do not need massive effort to change your life. You need small habits that refuse to disappear. Because small habits are not small. They are engines. And engines, given time, create distance no sprint ever could. Chapter 3. Consistency builds identity before it builds results. Most people chase outcomes. They chase goals. They chase numbers. They chase external proof that they are winning. That is backwards. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Goals are what you want. Identity is who you believe you are. And identity always wins. You can set the biggest goals in the world. If your identity is weak, inconsistent, or self-doubting, those goals will collapse. Because when pressure arrives, you don't ask what you want. You act according to who you think you are. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Consistency does something far more powerful than producing results. It rewires identity. Every repeated action is a vote for the person you are becoming, or a vote for the person you are staying. You're always voting. When you show up, you vote for discipline. When you quit, you vote for excuses. When you keep a promise, you vote for self-trust. When you break one, you vote for self-doubt. These votes accumulate. Identity is not declared. Identity is earned, and it is earned through repetition. This is why short-term motivation is useless without consistency. Motivation may get you started. Consistency decides who you become. Let's talk about the gym example, because it exposes this perfectly. When someone starts working out, they think the reward is physical. Muscle, weight loss, appearance. Those results come later. The first real transformation happens internally. The person who shows up daily starts saying something new, even if silently. I don't quit. I show up. I do hard things. That internal language matters more than the mirror, because self-respect is built before muscle. Confidence is built before strength. And once identity shifts, behavior becomes automatic. You don't drag yourself to the gym anymore. You go because that's who you are now. This is the hidden power of consistency. It removes internal resistance. You stop negotiating with yourself. The most exhausting battles in life are internal. Should I do this? Should I skip today? Does it really matter? Consistency ends that debate. When identity is clear, action is simple. High performers don't have stronger willpower. They have clearer identities. They don't ask, should I practice? They say, I am the kind of person who practices. They don't ask, should I save money? They say, I am the kind of person who plans for the future. That shift changes everything. Because identity-based habits are harder to break. You can abandon a goal. Abandoning an identity feels like betrayal. This is why quick wins don't last. People chase results without building identity. They lose weight without becoming disciplined. They make money without becoming responsible. They succeed briefly without becoming consistent. And when stress hits, they revert. Because identity was never upgraded. Consistency upgrades identity slowly and permanently. It teaches your nervous system that you are reliable, and reliability creates calm. Anxiety thrives in inconsistency. Confidence grows in routine. When you know what you do daily, your mind relaxes. No chaos, no guessing, no internal drama. This is why consistency feels boring but powerful. It stabilizes you. And stable people win long term. Now, let's address a common mistake. Many people try to think their way into a new identity. They repeat affirmations. They visualize outcomes. They talk about confidence. But their actions contradict their words. The brain does not believe words. The brain believes evidence. Action is evidence. You cannot convince your mind you are disciplined while acting undisciplined. The fastest way to change belief is not thought. It is behavior. Do the thing. Repeat the thing. Let the mind catch up. This is why small, consistent actions are more powerful than big, inconsistent ones. Big actions feel impressive. Small actions feel believable. Believability builds identity. If you promise yourself an hour a day and fail, your identity weakens. If you promise 10 minutes and succeed daily, your identity strengthens. You begin to trust yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of self-control. People who lack self-control often lack self-trust. They don't believe they will follow through, so they don't commit fully. Consistency fixes this. One kept promise at a time. Another critical truth. Identity is shaped by what you do when no one is watching. Public wins build ego. Private consistency builds character. Character outlasts motivation. You don't need applause to build identity. You need repetition. This is why consistency must be private first. Silent, uncelebrated. Routine. If you rely on external validation, consistency will collapse when attention fades. Build habits you would keep even if no one knew. That's where identity is forged. And once identity shifts, results accelerate because effort decreases. You stop forcing behavior. You start expressing who you are. This is where people say, it feels easy now. It's not easy because the task changed. It's easy because identity did. Now, let's talk about what to stop doing. Stop saying, I'll try. Trying is a loophole. Trying leaves room for quitting without consequence. Replace I'll try with I do. Language matters. Stop setting goals that impress others but don't fit your identity. If you can't see yourself doing it daily, it's not a habit. It's a fantasy. Start smaller than your ego wants. Your ego wants recognition. Your future wants consistency. Choose your future. Here is a practical instruction for this chapter. Choose one habit, not 5. 1. Define it clearly. Attach it to your day. Make it repeatable on your worst day. Then track one thing only. Did you show up? Not how long, not how perfect. Just showed up. Every check mark is a vote. Every repetition is a brick. Over time, a structure forms. That structure is identity. And once identity is built, Results are inevitable. Remember this. Results come and go. Identity stays. Build the kind of identity that doesn't need motivation. Build the identity of someone who shows up. Because when consistency builds identity, success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you express. And that is how ordinary effort creates extraordinary lives. Chapter 4. Discipline creates freedom, not the other way around. Most people are chasing freedom. They want freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom from stress, freedom from responsibility. And almost everyone gets it wrong. They think freedom comes first. They think once they feel free, they'll become disciplined. That belief quietly destroys consistency. Freedom does not create discipline. Discipline creates freedom. The illusion of freedom is doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That illusion feels good in the moment, and it costs you everything over time, because unstructured freedom is chaos. Chaos drains energy. Chaos creates anxiety. Chaos multiplies regret. Real freedom is not the absence of rules. Real freedom is the presence of control. Control over your time. Control over your money. Control over your impulses. That control is called discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not suffering. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is choosing the life you want over the comfort you crave. And the earlier you accept this, the faster your life stabilizes. Let's be clear about something uncomfortable. If you avoid discipline, you are choosing stress. You are choosing debt. You are choosing anxiety. You are choosing last-minute panic. Not because you're bad, but because avoidance has consequences. Every area of life without discipline becomes expensive. Undisciplined spending becomes financial pressure. Undisciplined eating becomes health problems. Undisciplined time use becomes regret. Discipline is the upfront cost that prevents the long-term price. High performers understand this trade. They accept small discomfort now to avoid massive pain later. Low performers avoid small discomfort now and live inside massive pain later. That's the difference. Now let's destroy a dangerous myth. Many people believe discipline limits their freedom. They think structure is suffocating. They think routines are boring. They think rules make life smaller. That's false. Structure makes life predictable. Predictability reduces anxiety. Reduce anxiety increases freedom. When you know your bills are paid, your mind relaxes. When you know your body is cared for, your confidence rises. When you know your schedule, your time opens up. Discipline removes uncertainty. Uncertainty is the real prison. This is why consistent budgeting is more powerful than higher income. Most people think their money stress is an income problem. It's not. It's a discipline problem. Plenty of high earners live paycheck to paycheck. Plenty of modest earners sleep peacefully. The difference is structure. A consistent budget creates clarity. Clarity creates calm. Calm creates options. More money without discipline increases chaos. More money with discipline increases freedom. Because discipline tells every dollar where to go. No guessing. No scrambling. No fear. You stop reacting. You start directing. This principle applies everywhere. Discipline your mornings and your days open up. Discipline your habits and your energy stabilizes. Discipline your emotions and your decisions improve. Self-control today is future relief. Every disciplined action is a message to your future self. I've got you. Every undisciplined action is a burden you pass forward. High performers refuse to steal from their future. They understand that freedom is built, not granted, and it's built with boring decisions repeated daily. Now let's address resistance. Discipline feels hard at first because your nervous system is used to chaos. Chaos is familiar. Familiar feels safe, even when it's destructive. Structure feels uncomfortable because it's new, but discomfort does not mean wrong. It means unfamiliar. The first weeks of discipline feel restrictive. Then something shifts. Stress decreases. Confidence increases. Mental space opens. And suddenly, discipline feels like relief. This is when people say, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. You didn't do it earlier because your brain wanted comfort, not control. Comfort is immediate. Control is delayed. Delayed rewards require trust. Discipline is an act of trust in your future self. Now here's the part most people avoid. Discipline requires boundaries. Boundaries with people. Boundaries with time. Boundaries with impulses. If you say yes to everything, you control nothing. Every undisciplined yes creates a disciplined no later. No time, no money, no energy. High performers decide in advance what they don't do. They don't scroll endlessly. They don't overspend. They don't negotiate with habits. They remove temptation instead of fighting it. This is strategic self-control. If your environment constantly tests your discipline, your system is weak. Design your environment to support discipline. Make good choices easier. Make bad choices harder. This is not weakness. This is intelligence. Now let's talk about regret. Regret is delayed awareness. It's realizing too late that discipline would have saved you. Saved you money. Saved you time. Saved you health. Most regret comes from avoided discipline. I should have saved. I should have trained. I should have started sooner. Disciplined converts should have into I did. And that changes how you see yourself. People with discipline trust themselves. People without discipline doubt themselves. That doubt creates hesitation. Hesitation kills opportunity. This is why discipline compounds. It builds confidence. Confidence builds action. Action builds results. Now let's get practical. Stop trying to be disciplined everywhere. That fails. Pick one area. 1. Money, time, health. Install structure. Automate payments. Schedule workouts. Block time. Make the disciplined action the default. Defaults beat intentions. Stop waiting to feel like it. Feeling follows structure, not the other way around. Here's a rule to live by. If you don't control your schedule, someone else will. If you don't control your money, circumstances will. If you don't control your habits, impulses will. Control is freedom, not unlimited choice. Control. So here's your instruction for this chapter. Choose one discipline you've been avoiding because it feels restrictive. Install it anyway, not aggressively. Not perfectly, simply and consistently. Let it stabilize your life. Let it remove stress. Let it create space. Because discipline is not the enemy of freedom. Discipline is the doorway. And on the other side of that doorway is a life most people keep chasing, but never reach because they refuse to walk through discomfort first. Discipline creates freedom. Accept that, and everything changes. Chapter 5. Why most people quit right before breakthrough. Most people don't quit because it's too hard. They quit because it feels pointless. They're putting in effort. They're showing up. They're doing the work. And nothing seems to be happening. No visible results. No external reward. No confirmation that it's working. So the brain draws a conclusion. This isn't working. That conclusion is usually wrong. Progress is delayed. Results lag behind effort. This is not a motivational slogan. It is a law. And if you don't understand this law, you will sabotage yourself repeatedly. The human brain is wired for immediate feedback. Touch fire, feel pain. Eat sugar, feel pleasure. Work hard today. Expect reward today. But the most valuable outcomes in life don't work that way. Wealth, skill, confidence, Influence. These grow invisibly first. And invisibility makes people quit. Here's the hard truth. The brain mistakes slow growth for failure. It sees no evidence and assumes danger. It whispers, "Stop wasting energy. Try something else. This isn't for you." That voice feels logical. It feels protective. It is lying. What you're experiencing is not failure. It's latency. Latency is a gap between effort and payoff. And every meaningful pursuit has a long latency period. The bigger the payoff, the longer the delay. This is why most people never break through. They quit in the silent phase, the phase where nothing is happening on the surface, but everything is changing underneath. Let's talk about business. Most successful businesses look boring at first. Few customers, low revenue, long hours, little validation. The growth curve is flat. Then suddenly people say, "You're so lucky." They didn't see the years of invisible work. They didn't see the systems being built, the skills being sharpened, the mistakes being corrected. Those years look like stagnation. They were accumulation. Public speaking is the same. At first, you speak and feel awkward. Your voice shakes. Your timing is off. Your confidence feels fake. You improve slightly each time, but not enough to feel impressive. So people quit. The ones who don't quit experience something strange. One day, words flow. Presence stabilizes. Authority appears. It feels sudden. It wasn't. It was delayed. Wealth works the same way. Saving and investing feels useless early on. The numbers barely move. The effort feels disconnected from reward. So people stop. They spend instead. They chase shortcuts. They seek fast wins. And they reset the clock every time. Breakthroughs require staying past boredom, staying past doubt, staying past the point where your emotions stop cooperating. This is where consistency becomes rare, and rarity creates advantage. Most people are not beaten by competition. They are beaten by impatience. They assume that if it were working, it would feel better by now. That assumption destroys momentum. Here is the psychological trap. Early effort produces internal change before external change. Skills improve before results show. Confidence grows before recognition arrives. Systems strengthen before outcomes explode. If you quit based on appearances, you'll always quit too early. The breakthrough is not a moment. It's a phase transition, like water turning to steam. The temperature rises slowly. Nothing changes visually. Then suddenly everything changes. The heat was working the whole time. You just couldn't see it. Most people turn off the heat at 99 degrees. Breakthrough happens at 100. Now, let's talk about quitting behavior. People don't usually quit dramatically. They quit subtly. They miss one day, then another, then momentum weakens. They stop tracking. They stop caring. They stop believing. Eventually they say, "I guess it wasn't meant to be." It was meant to be. You just left too early. This is why emotional discipline matters. You cannot use feelings as indicators of progress. Feelings are unreliable during delayed growth. Boredom does not mean failure. Frustration does not mean wrong direction. Slow results do not mean wasted effort. They mean you're early. High performers expect a delay. They plan for it. They don't ask, "Is this working yet?" They ask, "Am I still doing the work?" Because work done consistently always works. The only variable is time. And time only rewards those who stay. This is where most people break promises to themselves. They say, "I'll give it a month." A month is nothing. They say, "I tried for a while." Trying is vague. Winners commit to processes, not timelines. They don't say, "I'll do this until it pays off." They say, "This is who I am now." That removes the pressure of waiting. Identity-based persistence outlasts emotional patience. Now, let's address comparison. Comparison accelerates quitting. You see others ahead of you. You assume they started where you are. They didn't. You didn't see their invisible years. You only see the highlight reel. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's finished product will always demoralize you. That demoralization pushes quitting. Stop comparing timelines. Focus on trajectory. Are you improving? Are you showing up? Are you staying in the game? If yes, you're winning, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Now, let's talk about what to do practically when doubt hits. First, zoom out. Zoom out to 6 months, a year, 5 years. Ask yourself, if I keep doing this, who do I become? Not what do I get. Who do I become? That reframes patience. Second, reduce expectations, not effort. High expectations create disappointment early. Lower expectations allow consistency to breathe. You don't need massive progress this week. You need continuity. Third, document proof. Track your actions. When emotions say, this isn't working, data says, you showed up 47 times. Data builds trust. Trust keeps you going. Finally, commit to staying past the dip. Every growth curve has a dip, a point where enthusiasm dies and results haven't arrived. That dip is a filter. Most people exit there. Those who stay experience the breakthrough. Not because they're special, because they're patient. Patience is not passive. Patience is active consistency without emotional reward. That is rare, and rarity creates leverage. So here is your instruction for this chapter. Identify one area where you're close to quitting. One habit, one goal, one process. Assume you are early. Assume the work is working. Stay, not blindly, not recklessly, consistently. Do not demand proof before you deserve it. Proof comes last, because the breakthrough you're waiting for is often waiting for you to stop quitting right before it happens. Stay long enough, and let time reveal what effort has been quietly building all along. Chapter 6. The compound effect separates leaders from followers. Leadership is not a title. It is a trajectory, and the trajectory is built by the compound effect. Leaders do not win by doing extraordinary things once. They win by doing ordinary things longer than others are willing to. This is the part most people reject. They want inspiration. They want intensity. They want moments that feel powerful. Leaders choose boredom. They choose repetition. They choose consistency when nothing exciting is happening. And over time, that choice creates distance. Distance creates authority. Authority creates influence. Followers look for shortcuts. Leaders build compounding advantages. This is the real separation. The compound effect is simple, but it is not easy. It requires doing the same small things when applause is absent. It requires trusting the process when progress is quiet. It requires patience when ego wants recognition. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they get bored. Boredom kills more dreams than fear. Fear at least feels dramatic. Boredom feels meaningless. But boredom is where leaders are built. Because while others chase novelty, leaders accumulate skill. While others jump strategies, leaders deepen systems. While others restart, leaders continue. Continuation is power. Let's talk about authority. Authority is not claimed. Authority is granted. It is granted by time and consistency. You don't become trusted by talking about your potential. You become trusted by showing up predictably. Predictability creates safety. Safety creates trust. Trust creates leadership. This is why consistency creates influence. People follow what is reliable, not what is flashy. Nowhere is this clearer than communication. Public speaking, leadership communication, presence. Most people want to speak confidently. Very few are willing to practice daily. They read tips. They watch videos. They wait for confidence to arrive. Confidence doesn't arrive. Confidence is built by repetition. Daily communication practice feels boring. 5 minutes of speaking out loud, recording yourself, refining tone. No applause, no validation, just repetition. But over time, something changes. Words become sharper. Pauses become intentional. Presence becomes calm. People listen, not because the speaker is louder, because the speaker is grounded. That grounding comes from the compound effect. 1 day of practice does nothing. 100 days changes everything. Leaders understand this math. Followers underestimate it. This pattern repeats across all leadership traits. Decision-making improves slowly. Emotional control stabilizes gradually. Confidence deepens quietly. There is no single moment where you become a leader. There is a period where others realize you already are. That realization comes after consistency. And here's the hard truth. Leaders do boring things longer because they are not chasing stimulation. They are chasing standards. They have internal standards that do not depend on mood. Followers rely on motivation. Leaders rely on structure. Followers wait for clarity. Leaders act and refine. Followers stop when results slow. Leaders stay when results delay. That staying is compounding. The compound effect is ruthless. It rewards those who stay and punishes those who quit, not emotionally, mathematically. Every day you practice communication, your advantage grows slightly. Every day someone else skips, their gap widens. The gap is invisible early. Then it becomes undeniable. This is why leadership looks effortless from the outside. People see the result. They don't see the accumulation. They say, "You're naturally confident." No, you're consistently practiced. They say, "You're lucky." No, you stayed longer. Now let's talk about influence. Influence is not persuasion. Influence is presence over time. People trust what they see repeatedly. This is why consistency beats charisma. Charisma without consistency fades. Consistency builds quiet charisma. People start listening to you because you're always there, always prepared, always calm, always improving. That reliability makes your words heavier. Weight is influence. Now let's talk about what stops people from compounding. Impatience, comparison, ego. Impatience demands results too early. Comparison distorts timelines. Ego wants recognition before contribution. Leaders suppress ego. They focus on contribution. Contribution compounds into recognition, never the other way around. This is why leaders train when no one is watching. They refine skills privately. They don't need validation to continue. They trust time. Time is the ultimate ally of consistency. If you stay long enough, skill becomes undeniable. Now here is a critical distinction. Consistency is not mindless repetition. It is intentional repetition. Leaders reflect. They adjust. They refine. They don't just do the same thing. They do it slightly better. Tiny improvements compound too. 1% improvements feel pointless until they stack. Leadership is built in these margins. A better question, a clearer sentence, a calmer response, small upgrades, daily, over years. This is why leadership cannot be rushed. You cannot compress compounding. You can only interrupt it. Most people interrupt it repeatedly. They start, they stop, they restart. Every restart resets momentum. Leaders avoid restarting. They slow down instead. They reduce intensity to preserve continuity. Continuity beats speed. Now, let's make this practical. If you want to lead, you must choose one boring practice. 1. Communication. decision journaling, daily reflection, skill rehearsal. Not 10. 1. Commit to it daily. No exception for mood. No negotiation with fatigue. Just minimum viable consistency. 5 minutes counts. Showing up counts. Progress counts. Track it, not to impress yourself, to remind yourself. When doubt appears, data keeps you steady. Now let's address fear. Many people avoid consistency because it exposes them. Inconsistency allows fantasy. Consistency forces reality. Reality is uncomfortable, but reality is where growth lives. Leaders choose reality. They measure themselves honestly. They face weaknesses daily. That honesty compounds into competence. Competence compounds into confidence. Confidence compounds into authority. Authority compounds into leadership. This chain cannot be skipped. You cannot fake the compound effect. You either invest or you don't. And investments require time. This is why leaders look patient. They know time will do the work if they don't interrupt it. Now here is a final instruction for this chapter. Stop chasing exciting leadership moments. Start building boring leadership habits. Do the thing that doesn't impress anyone today. Do it tomorrow. And the next day. Stay longer than others. Because the compound effect does not reward talent. It rewards persistence. And persistence, applied to boring fundamentals, is what separates leaders from followers every single time. Stay, repeat, refine. Let time do what intensity never could. That is leadership. Chapter 7. Make consistency non-negotiable, the daily rule of one. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. They overhaul their routines. They stack habits. They chase transformation through overload. And overload collapses. Consistency is not built through ambition. It is built through precision. This chapter is about precision. One rule, one action, one non-negotiable. The daily rule of one. If you remember nothing else from this audiobook, remember this. One small action, done every day, beats every perfect plan that breaks under pressure. Your future is not built by what you intend to do. It is built by what you repeat. And repetition only survives when it is simple. The mistake most people make is intensity. They believe effort equals progress. They believe more is better. They believe suffering is proof of commitment. That belief destroys consistency. Intensity is fragile. Repeatability is durable. Intensity depends on mood. Repeatability survives bad days. You don't need extreme discipline. You need unbreakable simplicity. That is the purpose of the daily rule of one. One habit per category. No negotiation. No debate. Just execution. Let's break this down clearly. The daily rule of one is not about doing less forever. It is about doing less until consistency becomes identity. You are not building habits. You are building a system that never collapses. So you choose one action in 3 core areas. Money, mindset, discipline, not because they sound good, but because they cover your life. One daily money habit that supports your future self. One daily mindset habit that stabilizes your thinking. One daily discipline habit that reinforces self-control. That's it. Not 5, not 10, 3 total. And each one must pass a strict test. You must be able to do it on your worst day, not your best day. Your worst. If the habit cannot survive exhaustion, stress, or chaos, it is too big. Scale it down. This is where ego interferes. Your ego wants impressive habits. Your future wants reliable habits. Choose reliability. Let's start with money. Your daily money habit does not need to make you rich today. It needs to keep you from being reckless. It needs to create awareness. Examples. Track one expense. Transfer $1. Review your balance. That's it. People underestimate awareness. Awareness changes behavior automatically. You don't overspend when you're watching. You don't drift when you're checking in. One small money habit done daily prevents financial decay. Preventing decay is progress. Now, mindset. Most people wait for motivation. That's why they stay unstable. Your mindset habit should ground you. Examples: 1 written sentence of clarity, 1 minute of controlled breathing, 1 question asked daily. What matters today? You don't need inspiration. You need regulation. A regulated mind makes better decisions. Better decisions compound. Now, discipline. This is where self-respect is built. Your discipline habit should prove one thing daily. I do what I say. Examples: 1 push-up, 1 minute of stillness, 1 task completed before comfort. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it is done every day. No exceptions, because exceptions teach your brain that rules are flexible, and flexible rules break. Non-negotiable habits build identity. Now, let's talk about forever. Most people secretly plan to quit. They think in 30-day challenges, 90-day transformations. That mindset creates an end date. End dates invite excuses. The daily rule of 1 is designed to be permanent. Forever thinking changes behavior. If you know you'll do this forever, you stop rushing. You stop forcing results. You settle into rhythm. Rhythm beats urgency. Urgency burns out. Rhythm sustains. This is why consistency must become non-negotiable. Negotiation invites emotion. Emotion disrupts execution. You do not negotiate brushing your teeth. You do not negotiate showing up to work. Your core habits must live in the same category. Automatic, expected, unquestioned. This is not rigidity. This is freedom. Because once habits are non-negotiable, mental energy is released. You stop deciding. You stop debating. You just do. That simplicity creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates expansion. This is the order. Now let's address resistance. At first, the daily rule of 1 will feel too easy. Your mind will say, "This won't change anything." That voice is impatience. Ignore it. The power is not in the action. The power is in the streak. Streaks build trust. Trust builds identity. Identity changes behavior everywhere. This is a hidden effect. You start showing up in other areas without forcing it, because consistency spills over. A person who keeps 1 promise daily starts keeping more. Not consciously, naturally. Now let's talk about missed days, because this matters. You will miss a day eventually, not because you're weak, because you're human. The rule is simple. Never miss twice. Missing once is an event. Missing twice is a pattern. Patterns shape identity. Protect the streak. If you miss, resume immediately. No guilt, no drama, just continuation. Continuation preserves momentum. Momentum preserves belief. Belief preserves consistency. Now, let's talk about expansion. You do not add habits until the existing ones are automatic. Automatic means boring. Automatic means you don't think about it. Only then do you expand. Most people expand too early and collapse. You will not. You will earn growth. This is discipline done intelligently. Now let's get specific. Write this down mentally. My daily money habit is underscore, 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 underscore. My daily mindset habit is underscore, 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 underscore. My daily discipline habit is underscore, 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 underscore. Fill in the blanks with actions that take less than 5 minutes. If it takes longer, shrink it. The goal is not progress today. The goal is inevitability over time. Inevitable habits create inevitable results. And inevitability is powerful. because it removes doubt. Now here is the toughest truth of this audiobook. Consistency is not about self-improvement. It is about self-respect. Every day you show up, you send yourself a message. I matter. My future matters. My word matters. That message compounds. Every day you don't, another message is sent. Choose carefully, because over years, those messages become identity, and identity becomes destiny. This is why consistency must be non-negotiable, not because life demands it, because you deserve stability. You deserve momentum. You deserve to trust yourself. So here is your final instruction for this chapter. Decide today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, choose your 3. Install them. Protect them. Do them even when they feel pointless, especially when they feel pointless. Because the days that feel pointless are the days that build permanence. And permanence is the foundation of everything worth having. One action, every day, forever. That is the daily rule of 1. Live by it, and consistency will stop being something you try to do and start being who you are. Every small habit you repeat is shaping your future. Each simple action builds confidence, self-respect, and momentum over time. When you trust the process and keep showing up, results begin to compound in ways that feel almost effortless. As you move forward, focus on one habit at a time. Make it simple. Make it sustainable. Let consistency do the heavy lifting for you. Thank you for listening. If this audiobook added value to your journey, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Growth Listen. Your support helps more people build better habits and stronger lives. Keep going, stay consistent, and let your small actions create big results.